What is happening, good people of the planet Earth? This is Jeremy Ian Thomas, and firstly, I want to apologize for such a long time between tutorials, man. It's been the past 4 years have been pretty crazy, and professionally and personally, it's been kind of wild. But yeah, I think the last one was January of 2015. It was like right around my birthday, and it was about the vocoder stuff inside Alive. And I have done lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff since then. Tons of music is out, tons of film work, yeah. And I'm making a commitment right now to clean up my YouTube channel. I know I have close to 3,000 subscribers, and I want to start to really, excuse me, spread the word on information and, just do a lot more tutorials. I'm going to start try to do one a month, and then I'm going to do kind of an exclusive buy-in for personal lessons, and they'll be affordable, and then we'll be able to kind of get the mojo going on the channel. I'm working a lot with MSX Audio. I'm involved with them, and I'm a part of Racks for Live with them as well. So if you hear me on those, I'm the educator for those. This stuff's really, really exciting. I didn't use any of that in this. This is me kind of trying to kickstart the tutorials on my page again, so I really apologize. I've wanted to do a bunch over the past few years, but I just get so caught up in workflow and all this other stuff. But today I actually did something really cool, and I think I might only just show you that and then maybe let you hear the beat, because I want to keep this short and specific to what I did. So this is a break right here. Let me show you real quick. Show in browser, and this is from the 808 international breaks I got from Drum Broker, and I think this is a Polish break. Check it out real quick. Like a really simple, goofy kind of break, man. Like I would never rap on this, and I would never expect anybody to like that. But I felt like it had like an African polyrhythmic feel to it, and I've really been getting into scoring a lot more. I'm scoring stuff for like Nike, and I did something for Street League Skating last year. It was a 45-minute video that was on ESPN. I think I did 12 cues in that. You could check for that. Really, just it's been, my horizons have been broadened into. I started out obviously as a hip hop producer. I still am. I mean, 4/4 quarter note drum patterns, the like. And if it's a little noisy, I'm sorry. I live in Redondo Beach, and it gets a little crazy. What I liked about it was just the rhythm of it, right? And what I want to show you guys is something that some people know about, and they probably use it, but they don't use it the way I use it. And so let me show you this. So I should probably turn on the little whip thing so you can see. But if you come down here, if you follow my mouse down here to really, this is the algorithm for the warping, right? And there's all these different warp functions. You do it with beats, tones, texture, repitch, complex, whoop-de-whoop, right? Right now it's on complex, so it's just like doing a softer curve on the time stretch. But if you go to beats, and it starts like this, a lot of people do use this, and if you slow your sample way down, you hear the like whoop-de-whoops, the warp and the whoop. Sorry for using that. If you look at these little arrows, what it's saying is it's going forward, and then whatever space there is in between the transient, it will reverse it the other way. But what's really cool is that this little percentage thing is almost like, and it usually starts with transients, right? So if you go slow, right, and you slow down, boom, 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 right, just to give you an idea what I'm talking about. This thing is like a choke or a gate almost for how this function works. But if you do it like this and you drop it down, you're not going to hear anything. You hear a little bit, right? You hear a little bit of it. But what you want to do is change it. Come down here, this drop down, and change it to just the forward, right? And so you already start to hear it. Now watch as I choke this out, right? It's like, it's pretty dope, right? I mean, and it just has like a feel to it. It boom, boom, boom. And I do this with a lot of percussion. And what's really great is you can, then pitch it up and down and do different things to it. And what I ended up with was something like this. Something around here. I think I opened it up a little bit more. And then if you change it to 8, that's 1/8. It will, go all the way down to half, where it's just choking on the half note. This is really good to get rhythmic things out of breaks without using a break, right? Or, do a program of a drum, of a kick and a snare, and then take the break and just pull the transients out of it and have it be underneath. I use it all the time. If you've heard my production, this stuff is always littered and layered throughout my production. So I'm gonna show you what I did real quick with this that I thought was really interesting. So I copied it, as you see. I froze it, because whenever you do anything to the audio to make it destructive, where the audio, a lot of you should know this, but this is very remedial. You freeze the track, which is like bouncing it in place basically, and then you have to flatten it. And now everything you did lives in this audio file, right? I'm pretty sure this is how I did this. Hopefully it works out the same way, and then what I did is I turned this into drums, right? Convert drums to new MIDI. And this will just kind of create a MIDI pattern, right? Basically what I did, right? And I was like, okay, and again, you're probably like, this sounds so stupid. Like, but yeah. Almost like some crazy Reggie Watts madness, but he's way better than me. So what I did, let me try to remember where I'm at right now. So I use Contact all the time, and I stumbled upon, it's always been in there, but I stumbled upon this part of the Contact library, like the one that comes with Contact. It's just the what would they call it? Factory library. It's the factory library. There's a section in the factory library, which I use. I use the guitar. I use the basses from this. But if you go, it's called World, right? And this is band, choir, orchestra. Go to World, go to Percussion. And then the bongos sound really dope, actually. Let me see here. They're down here. They're real sound. I mean, that's what's great about, Contact. It's even got little arpeggiations and right. And so I was like, man, I wonder if I can take this thing I turned into drums, right? This really silly pattern, and just see how that sounds on the congas, right? So I alt click from here all the way over to Contact. I can even drag this Contact back over here. And let's just see how that sounds. Right? It went from to this, right? And then what I loved about this was just that right? It's polyrhythmic and funky, and so you could leave it like this, but I'll play you kind of what I ended up with was right, kind of a high pitch. Let me get rid of all this stuff because I don't want it clogging up my my RAM. So then I did that, and I was like, and I've turned these into audio. So now we're just into audio. Hopefully you understood turning it into drums and then assigning other sounds to it. That's what's really dope about that function, is that you can extract the groove and then apply these other instruments to it and essentially get the feel of something without it, without having to replay it. Because, it's not easy, especially if you don't know how to play really and you're on like a keyboard or something. You really have to focus. But this is just some little ads I added in to go with it. Let me mute all this other stuff because I'm gonna let you hear this beat in a second. And this is how this started. Legitimately, this is all I had for a little while, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I found these djembes in that same library. It's the one that comes with Contact. It's nothing special, right? So they got these three going together. It's really kind of like, it's African, man. It feels African to me. And then this was, man, the drum broker and all these people that are finding these breaks and creating, and my brothers at MSX. I'm in MSX. Rackfly. These are genius filmmakers that are just really get their inspiration from inspiring other people, and that's what all this is. But I found this little it's like crazy weird like world type loop. It's just like a clacker or like a wood block, right? And then I went in obviously and warped it the way I wanted it and put it on the grid. And then I had this for a while and I was like, man, this is cool. I like this, it was just percussive for a long time. And then I think what I did next was just put a kick drum, a 4 on the floor, right? I was like, all right, cool. And this kick is from Croup, Croup. His drums are called rawbeatswithaz.com. That dude has been one of the dopest producers in the world for a long time. And I worked with him a bunch, and I use his drums religiously. They are mixed and mastered really well. So that was it. I was like, oh, this is fresh. And then I was like, man, I still have the Warsaw break. And I was like, man, that still, you got that little tit, right? And so like in the mix, like, oh man, that's adding to it too. Then it was time to like, okay, what am I gonna do melodically? I've gotten a lot of these. I don't want to give away where it's from, but it's part of the sample community. I use all those guys like Soul Surplus, MSX. I buy all that stuff because they're like $30, man. Those guys go in the studio with like 9 musicians and make original compositions. And then if you get placement, it's like very fair the way they go about doing like copyright splitting and royalties and stuff. And I'm just more inspired by those kind of guys now. I still dig for records, don't get me wrong. I'll hear something on TV, or I'll find something online, or I'll find something in a record store still. But mostly, man, I'm utilizing a lot of this community's just brain power, man. And this was one of those samples. And it's got this crazy kind of Delta blues. It just felt like African again. It felt like it was imported into America via the African struggle or something, man. It feels very old and tobacco roady. And that's what I had for a while, was this loop right here. It was like, okay. It starts to feel like a score, right? I mean, you could visualize a lot of different things over this, none of which coming up a dirt road with the, the dust flying in the back. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. I'm not, this tutorial's not about storytelling. And then once again, what I do with these again, and here's what I'll show you. This is a trick. Man, I should have saved these. I just jumped into this. Why I don't plan for these. I'm gonna save real quick because this computer's been giving me problems. You freeze this, right? Freeze track, flatten, just so you have it, right? Bring this back, and then I'll convert this into MIDI because I don't want to sit. It's just easier than sitting around and like thumbing around to figure out exactly where the bass line should land. And then if you look here, it's like, oh, and this will be totally out of tune for the most part, right? So not totally, right? But if you understand the loop you've been working with, you can come in here and be like, okay, let me edit this. You got dum 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 dum, right? Dum, right? So you can see where the bass is. Where's the bass at? It's really gonna be kind of in this area here. Dum dum dum, right? Dum 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 dum. Boom, dum 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 dum, right? And that's really what this loop is. Dum 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 dum, boom, dum, right? So what I ended up is, I'm not gonna go through that whole thing. I could spend a whole tutorial showing you guys how to do that. I know a lot of people are interested in that. It's definitely a huge part of my production technique, but I'm not getting into that. Really, I wanted to show you the rhythmic aspect of what I did with the break first. I will do more of the tutorials, but this is I used an 808 Warfare plugin for Contact, and this is the 808 super thick, right? I mean, the bass edit probably took me like 25 minutes to figure it out. And then I used another one of my favorite tools, man, mixed in key. If you're like me and you don't have theory locked down, I know enough to be dangerous, but it's really good to throw a sample in and find out what key it's in. And then if you know enough about the keyboard, you can really find some chords and you can really find some cool things to do. So this ended up being in sharp, which is all black keys, which is like my favorite. And then it's also in B. So you could look up online, what is a B chord? What is a G sharp major chord? And that will get you in the realm of what's in tune. Sometimes it's hard to hear with your ear, especially with a weird like instrument with this piano. It's like an old piano and it's got weird detuning happening and stuff in it. So it's good to get you in the right place. And I was like, okay, cool. Lounge Lizard, one of my favorite plugs. So I'm pretty sure I went, right? So it was like, then a higher octave. Dun, dun, right? Dun, 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 dun. Right. And so that on top of this loop is, right? It's just adding that brightness at the top. Dun, 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 dun. Right? And then I grabbed some choirs, again from Contact, just from the library. I love these female staccato, like operatic. And what I do is I just copy over what I played on Lounge Lizard, and I put the two instruments together to create a separate kind of vocal instrument with the Rhodes in it. And then I used, let me get this back in here. What is it? Then I used Oddity. I love Oddity, and this is and I already turned this into audio because again, you know, it clogs up your computer. But this is just me. This was a monophonic saw wave that had really great portamento already. It's a preset. I just started hitting the keys to get these feeling like, you know, like, and that really added a lot. Got a nice feel to it, man. And then I went through and started to add some stuff to the drums, right? Really simple, like at first, just if you hear just these little, it goes a long way. I mean, we're in the mix, right? And I had that for a while, man. I literally just made this a few hours ago, and I think it's super dope, man. It's no samples really. It's very cinematic. I could hear Jay Electronica really ghosting this, man. I would just die if I could. I'm gonna try to make that happen, man. He's ridiculous. And then once again, I was like, man, I want some more movement. I feel like I need a little bit more percussion. So I found another break. I don't remember exactly where I got it from. It's one of the Drum Broker ones. You know, I really should. Let me just type in focus. Yeah, 101, and this is it right here, right? Boom, boom, right? And then I brought it in, and I did the same thing. I choked it. I looped it. Here, let me show you what it sounds like, the full break, right? Let me take off. Let me put it on complex. Let me remember what I had. -8, and I have an erosion and this on there, right? So we put that back up to 0, and this is the loop at 160, really, which is 80, right? And I would like listen to that for a while. And I did warp it and pull it onto and I was like, man, you know, it's weird, man. You start adding stuff and you're like, I definitely went too far. But with this one, what I liked was the hi-hats. It just added a whole other element to it, right? And then so when you choke it, and then I put it at -8, right? And then obviously the low end, it's all dirty and stuff, so I put an EQ3 just to get it up top, and then add an erosion to it. I'll take even more out, see? Yeah. I want to leave that frequency as clean as possible, right? Let me take some of these instruments out. Just the bass and piano and all the percussion. So it's great, man. Like, I'll drop all of this other supplemental percussion out, right? And it's just a kick. And this, it's got like a very hip hop feel to it. Like, you could rap to this. I'll probably choke this a little bit more. Yeah, that's what you want right there. You want just like a nice rhythm. And then I was like, man, I want to add a snare of some sort, right? And then you start. Now you got a full cooking with oil now, man. You know what I'm saying? goofy ass break, man. And I remember being like, I remember when I started this, I was like, you know what, man, I just want to start bare bones. I don't want to start with any melody. I didn't want to program any drums. I just wanted to be inspired. And when you build up a sound library, man, and you use it in that manner, it's super helpful, man. Like, some band in Poland and probably in the late 60s, early 70s made this, man. And who knows what it originally came from, but from that came that, man. It's wild. It's how it is to, I like it, man. But anyways, enough about that beat. Hopefully this will get everybody interested in the tutorials again. I got a lot more stuff coming up with Racks for Live, a lot more tutorials coming out. Worked on a lot of visuals for them. Just working with them hand in hand, man. Those are my brothers, man, and they're amazing people and amazing artists. And I have a lot of music coming out. Me and my homie Israel Bell still have As Above, So Below. I'm gonna be putting out some music this year for sure. Big shout to everybody for listening and watching. Please subscribe, man. I'm gonna really start pumping this channel. I want to get more subscribers and really just create a community around this, man, around building and growing and being musical and having a good time. Yeah, man, I hope everybody is blessed and having a good new year and your life is fruitful. Love, peace, and hair grease.